So today I have with me Anuraj Gambhir. He's an internationally recognized strategic innovation advisor, technology visionary, exponential thought leader, and award-winning innovator. He has over 30 years global experience across 5 continents as a transdisciplinary expert. His practical knowledge spans executive management, innovation, entrepreneurship, conscious leadership, exponential technologies, design thinking, and holistic well-being. A key domain of his focus is the future of health and wellness, incorporating cutting-edge wellness technology and innovations that can be applied for smart devices, homes, buildings, spaces, cities, and communities. Welcome to the Deal Flow, Anuraj. Thanks for being here.
No, it's a pleasure. Thank you, Sarah.
You've been in this industry for such a long time. You would have seen so many changes over the 30 years that you've been practicing and innovating. How has technology had an impact?
Right, that's a big question. Yeah, I mean, technology has obviously grown so rapidly, and I think I love using the saying, the world is changing so fast that the person who says it can't be done is interrupted by the person already doing it.
I love
So
that.
that I think sums up pretty much, the growth of and the pace and the rapid pace, the exponential growth, or even quantum growth, as one may call it, of the rate of change of technology.
Yeah.
And I think I've seen that very much in the telecom industry as I grew my career in the satellite, in the space industry, when I worked at NASA, then in the entire, early part of my career working in the mobile, telecommunications industry, designing mobile devices, looking at, setting up mobile networks around the world, from Optus to AT&T to, T-Mobile to, Orange in Switzerland and so many other places. And then designing a lot of innovative sort of devices, moving from feature phones to smartphones. So I saw that entire sort of revolution and that transition with some amazing sort of potential that was across, from closed to open standards, and then to very much the big platforms like Android and so
Yeah.
about. Yeah.
You were right at the forefront of that technology, making it out into the world.
Yeah, I think it was very exciting to be part of such amazing teams and people and companies that I worked with, from Siemens to Apple to others, where influencing some of the very cutting edge devices and solutions rather, which because it's really becomes a function of hardware, software, content, and services. It's all about experience and creating customer user delight and eventually key benefits and impact from that.
Yeah. And so do you think when you're innovating in your business or creating a new product, how important, and I already probably know the answer, but maybe you can get into more detail, is that experience? So versus functionality and experience, what is it the difference between the two, and what should founders or designers be focusing on?
Yeah, I think it's very much about obviously a combination of many factors. It's a holistic approach, and I talk about it holistic, obviously with the H and also with the W, a holistic. So it's about combining the total user and product experience, as I call it, a term I coined 2P, and it was about how do we bring together the right design thinking to create the most, yeah, I would say delightful experiences, which are obviously creating a lot of impact, and the right user benefits sort of are derived from there. So, in the mobile phone world, it was very much about different use cases for different themes, looking at convergence, looking at how do we bring together the different aspects and use cases that people are wanting to do. For example, multimedia, or was it a business mobile oriented mobile phone, which had a keyboard in it back then? And then how the feature phone sort of evolved into the smartphone with the all-in-one device, but then also at the same time it was the apps, which was the biggest innovation. It was the open app architecture, as one may call it. So
Mm,
I think it's been an interesting sort of phase of how do we, because design, as Steve Jobs said, design is not what it actually looks and feels like, it's actually how it works. So that whole approach of integrating a very holistic design,
mm,
and it means fashion and functionality go hand in hand. So the
yeah.
looks, the industrial design, but also then the usability, the user experience, everything has to go hand in hand to make uh, a experience which is, I would say, very simple to use. And the term I'd again called complexity, which is complex made simple. So you hide the complexity and hide the complex technology in the back end, and you enable the simplicity and the most pleasing experience on the front end.
Which is what has made Apple so successful, is that simplicity of a complex solution that they offer.
Indeed,
So
indeed.
how does this translate to wellness and wellness tech? What are you seeing and what are the trends happening?
Yeah, I think it's very interrelated, and we're really seeing a comeback of that simplicity model come in this wellness space, because less is more, and it's all about going back to basics or going back to a fundamental approach and saying, okay, what's really meaningful? What is of substance for the user? And what really do we want to derive as the approach of, and that's what led me to, the discussions I even had with Steve Jobs around well-being. In fact, his pilgrimage and trip to India, where he sort of gained a lot of insight. And I think a lot of his learnings were about simplicity in that form, were very much about, how do we bring a wellness approach in designing the future in that regard. So it's about how do we simplify our lives? How do we bring more deeper meaning and connections to meaningful connections, in fact, ultimately to ourselves.
Yeah.
So, because it's all about how does technology create that, very positive, deep impact for us.
It does. It does. And I think people are recognizing more and more how important that holistic view of your life, including
Yeah.
technology, should
Yeah.
be to
In fact, I've got a statement which says really the vision is really about exponential technology enabling the access of affordable and compelling solutions for individuals to take charge of their holistic well-being and become happier, healthier, and more spiritually connected, allowing them to lead more meaningful lives.
Yeah.
So that's what I think sums up kind of what is it that we try to really do with that thinking, of
Yeah.
integrated wellness and a well-being approach.
Very good, very good. And speaking of meaningful connections, you've been a part of CapTech now since its inception, and probably
Yes.
before then, before it was just a thought on the I think it was a bit bar table, to be honest, but
Right.
when it was first thought of. So tell us a little bit about your experience in participating in CapTech and making those meaningful connections.
Yeah, sure. I think it's been an amazing community, and I think community and connection plays such a key role. And that's what we also talk about, in fact, in connecting, bringing it back to wellness and what I've been propagating of Blue Zones 3.0. It's about how do we take that thinking to the next level. And I think it's events like CapTech, and it's really the bringing coming together of people from different disciplines, from domains, from experts, and the communities which are very diverse. We've got startups, scale ups, investors, collaborators, different types of stakeholders. And it's that ecosystem, it's that broader player place that brings together everybody. And I think that's where you really learn a lot more. It's about cross pollinating. And I've really enjoyed being part of that journey right from the beginning. So, yeah, very grateful for amazing sort of connections, and
Definitely.
also, how that sort of proliferates into something more meaningful. And in the very first CapTech, I remember when you chaired the session we did on future of health, of learning and education, and I was on the panel. So it was really interesting that sort of tossing amongst people from very diverse, from the academia, from different sort of aspects of looking at that approach of what that domain really truly means. And I think so
Mhm.
it's the thought leadership that comes about in what we share at CapTech, and how those connections really translate into something more meaningful further down.
Well, you've had a huge influence in the direction of CapTech, and I think that cross-pollination of industries and knowledge and sharing knowledge and insights is what makes someone successful in business. And so, yeah, you're right. My goal on that panel now, I remember, is was to get the solutions from other industries. What were the challenges that education were facing at that time, and what other solutions were out there, or were there a startup out there that was on their first or second iteration of their design that then could go,
Mm,
oh, actually, this is a solution that we could probably implement or help you with.
totally.
It's always about coming away with something tangible
Yeah.
from what really is just a collaboration and connection.
I think it's when you connect those dots really, and when you look at that diversity of, that transdisciplinary approach again, across so many different domains and disciplines coming together. That's when it really makes a lot more sense, and you can really appreciate a much bigger picture and see what are the key trends. And last year, when I sort of had moderated and chaired the future of AI panel, again, we had quite an interesting range of industry players and academia and researchers. And so again, it was looking at how AI, which everybody today talks about in so
Yeah.
many different ways, it's manifested in such ways from the very early days of machine learning and deep learning, and now to a lot more sophisticated, versions of large language models and
Yeah.
its manifestation. So I think it was very interesting to sort of go through what that snapshot, what that map of the ecosystem looks like, and see what are those opportunities, because that's where lies the massive business potential for players to tap, and to really then make something tangible out of it and go
Definitely.
out and
And
create.
even those large organizations that are involved, they're successful because they're finding businesses that are at the startup or at the scale up stage and
Mhm.
investing in them so that they can bring the products into their organization. And that's how you get that growth. So
Totally. Totally.
yeah, so this year you're actually on and chairing the health panel, which was really exciting. And we're probably going to talk about health and technologies, but tell me what your thoughts are. Like, what are you wanting people to leave after being a part of this panel?
Sure. So I think the future of health and wellness is a pretty massive area. And what we're seeing is really how healthcare has been democratized and the converging with well care in that sort of space. Because health is the true wealth, right? Health in your hands and at your fingertips. And I think it's about self-help health. It's about how health has also evolved from so many different facets. We've got telehealth, we've got aspects of how medicine and the sort of that connect of the medical worlds have sort of converged and brought together very meaningful solutions, medical devices, but also then wellness devices, which are clinical grade in many regards. And I've got many of them. I've got like the Aura Ring, I've got smart watches, I've got neurotech devices. I'm surrounded here by something even called the medical center here, which was inspired by Star Trek. Even it's got 7 different aspects integrated in there. So things which can measure sleep, for example. I've got a Sleep Shepherd device here using your EEG. So I think there's a lot of things which we can look at how health is transited from a hospital to virtual hospitals to self-help and home care. I mean, there's just so many facets to it, and what AI has done in healthcare, how aged care has evolved. So we have an expert, Dr. George Margelis will be on my panel. He's the chair of the Aged Care Association. Then we've got Ramsay Health, their head. And I think it'll be very interesting to sort of see those perspectives of where we are headed, where the Australian ecosystem is, and putting that in perspective with the global sort of moves and shakers on what's happening.
Definitely.
And
Well,
I've been involved with the
globally,
Global Wellness Institute, so I think there's a lot of trends from there that we would like to share and see
yeah.
how that's
You,
shaping the whole space.
yeah, well, you look at all countries are really understanding and now really putting a lot of time, effort, and research into health because of the aging populations and other challenges that they've had. You've seen some
Yeah,
huge moves from Indonesia to Japan to becoming, tourist destinations for the, traveling health person and what do they call it? Medical tourism and
medical.
things
That's
like
right. Yeah,
that. So, and then you've got the side of hospitals needing to digitalize what they're doing to,
yeah,
and using AI to cut out hours and hours of work that people are not spending in health, but having to spend on compliance and paperwork. So it'd be really, it's a really good time to look at health and come to your panel and
mm,
really listen to what is happening and what are the challenges and what are the potential solves by then looking at the AI panel, looking at the education panel. I'm sure there's going to be lots of opportunity there for anyone that's coming to watch to see and
yeah.
interact and learn from amazing people that are in it and doing it.
Totally. And I think, yeah, that medical tourism, but obviously the wellness tourism, which is a journey I'm about to embark. In fact, heading
Yes,
off to
tell us about
Southeast
that.
Asia very soon on exploring some opportunities there. And I mean, we're seeing things like STEM therapy, a lot of the future synthetic biology and smart sort of trends which are emerging in that space, which have, a lot of medical basis also underlying and a lot of research work that's going on. So in the whole space of longevity as a whole. And that's what I talk about in the Blue Zones 3.0 and the movement that we're talking about, where health and wellness are converging, the borders are fuzzing, and we've got these amazing new emerging sort of trends that are coming about in the space.
Which is actually just creating opportunities.
Totally massive opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So look, tell me, why should an investor come to CapTech?
I think what investors can get at CapTech is just a phenomenal exposure to so many opportunities. I mean, it'll be such a diverse range of people there. And because we have pitches, in fact every few months we've been doing the pitches. I've been involved with the judging of that, and you learn so much. And we've got amazing startups, scale-ups, and really fairly mature companies who really thought through a lot of their ideas. We've given them a lot of guidance. We've been able to sort of work with some of them and say, okay, how do we nurture them? So investors will be able to see a fairly sophisticated range of players who they can look very tangibly and say, are these, very strong propositions for investment. So I think we're really looking for impact investors. We're looking for other types of a whole range of players in across different fields. And I think because all these different domains come together at CapTech, we've got energy, we've got education, AI, health and wellness, precious metals, minerals, all that whole space, sustainability as a whole. We've been looking at smart cities. Again, that's a big area that I've been looking at. I've been on the global board of Hubtropolis, and now we've got this massive movement happening called the transforming and forming Eden, which is this big massive movement that we're looking at in how do we design smart cities with health and wellness at the core, with a lot more sustainable elements for the right circularity in the economy, having the core bottom line approach, and thinking a lot more deeper impact.
Yeah. And even the strategic partnerships and the global networking, I feel all of that comes into play when you're developing those relationships and those impact investments.
Yeah,
You just don't know unless you're there.
that's right. Exactly. Totally.
Well, Anuraj, I learn so much from you every time I hear you speak. I'm so grateful that you're involved with CapTech again this year. Behind the scenes, you come and be a judge for a lot of our scale-ups and startups that are presenting. So you're a judge for a lot of our scale-ups and startups that present, and you give amazing feedback to any business that can get information from you, and your insights will definitely benefit in the long run from an ESG point of view, all the way through to wellness and experience, and then the design and tech side of the organization. So I think anyone that has you in their organization is just we are grateful that you are with us and being
Thank you.
part of our journey,
Such a pleasure.
which is, we're hopefully going to be in India with you as you
Yes.
embark on your wellness journey. So
Yep.
thank you for sharing your valuable insights with us today. To our listeners, please stay tuned for our next episode of The Deal Flow, and don't forget to join SIPBN and participate in our upcoming CapTech in November 2024. Stay connected on socials, and let's grow together.